Anna Zickerman spent her life growing up in the UAE, and she knew she always wanted to do something with sports rehabilitation. So she went off to university, became a qualified medical doctor, and then came back to her home, which was the UAE, and realized that there was no sports rehabilitation that was in the UAE and in Dubai. So what did Anna do? Anna created the UAE's first sports rehabilitation clinic, which is called Up and Running. I remember when Up and Running opened because I was one of their first clients, and I have visited Up and Running many a time over the years as I've injured myself over several sporting pursuits. But Anna has experienced the ups and downs of owning a business, opening multiple locations, being innovative, trying things that work and don't work, and has built a really beautiful brand and a clinic that is one of the go-tos within the UAE for sports rehabilitation. Welcome to the Women on the Rise podcast. I'm Jen Blandos, and I am so excited to share with you that for the next 30 days, I am introducing you to 30 of Female Fusion's members from around the world. They are going to share with you their stories of entrepreneurship, their highs, the lows, what inspired them to get into business, which I hope will inspire you along your entrepreneurial journey. Welcome to another episode of Women on the Rise, and this is our special collection of interviews with inspiring female entrepreneurs from Female Fusion. And today I am talking to Anna, who is the founder of the Up and Running Physiotherapy and Medical Center here in Dubai. And I'm so excited to talk to Anna because I was saying to Anna before we started as well, I've been a client of Up and Running since the very beginning. Welcome to the podcast, Anna.
Thank you, Jen.
So for everybody who does not know Up and Running, or for those who live outside of the UAE, maybe you could tell everybody a little bit about your journey and what Up and Running does.
Sure. The journey started in when I was deciding what A-levels I was going to do. I was living here in Dubai. I'd been brought up here, and I wasn't quite sure which direction to go. And in those days, in the in the 80s, late 80s, we didn't really have access to resources like you do today, and especially in Dubai, that's quite isolated. My PE teacher came up to me and said, "Why don't you do sports medicine?" I'd never even heard of it. I'd really enjoyed doing PE with my PE teachers and helping her out with the students below, and I really enjoyed the sciences. So I thought about it and thought, yeah, that sounds a great idea. So all of a sudden, my journey was made just through that one comment that she had. And wow. I was then destined to seek universities in the UK and found universities and went off there to study. My ambition was to come back to Dubai to open my own sports injury clinic. And I was hoping that'd be the first one that we had, bearing in mind in those days, there was nothing like it.
Yeah. And so was it the first sports injury clinic in Dubai when you opened in 2010?
Yes, absolutely. So the journey that I had, I was thinking 5 years university, I come back and I open it up. But things took a lot longer than that because sports medicine didn't actually exist by the time I got to UK. It hadn't developed yet. So it's still a very new specialty. But throughout my training, we then found a niche where I could go, and it was a master's in sports medicine that had started. So I joined the master's, and then through that developed my own career path until I got the credentials I needed to move back out. Moved back out in 2006. And in 2007, by the time I got settled down, I applied through the DHA for sports and exercise medicine specialty, and they didn't have that. So she was writing it down and making sure she had it all correct. And then she was like, okay, but I don't know who to get to interview you. So it was quite interesting. They found orthopedic surgeon, a physiatrist, and an A&E consultant to do the interview. So that was the start of sports medicine in the region.
Wow. So you're the very first sports medicine specialist in the region.
Yes.
Wow, I feel very lucky to have a pioneer within our midst of Female Fusion. So you started the clinic in 2010, and yes. I remember that. Before we started filming, I was reminiscing about where your clinic was in the beginning because I've been in Dubai since 2009, and so I was one of your first patients back then as well, always injuring myself. Sports and injury go hand in hand with Jen. So you started the first clinic in 2010.
Yeah.
What was that like? If you're starting something new, there must have been a lot of challenges in getting that up and running, so to speak.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think we could write a long book about it. And especially in those days, one, it was a little more challenging being a female entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Two, setting something up that hadn't existed before. And we wanted a lot of other specialties that weren't licensed yet. So we had to try and challenge the DHA. And luckily, we managed to get most of them through. So we could then create a team of specialists under the sports medicine banner. So
Wow.
sports medicine and rehabilitation, and then gradually grow as we sort of went on.
And then you, because this was all new, I guess you had to recruit people from abroad.
Yes.
You couldn't find them here.
No, we recruited quite heavily from abroad. In fact, at the start, just about 100% of our employees were from abroad, from a clinician perspective. I've now looked through the statistics. We remain about 60% recruited from abroad.
Okay.
Because we always want to bring in new talent.
Yeah.
And we're very specific as to who we want to come in, the personalities they have, the skills they have, to see what value add they can provide, and hence enhance the clinic and continue to grow what we're
Okay.
doing.
And you've gone from that one clinic
Yeah.
back in 2010,
Yeah.
and now you've added on other clinics. Talk me through how that worked.
Sure. So we did have a clinic in the Jumeirah Gulf Estates.
Okay.
So that was a difficult lesson to handle at the time, because Jumeirah Gulf Estates wasn't ready for a clinic. The facilities were great, but they just weren't ready at the time.
I guess because the community was still being built
Being
up.
built,
For
yeah.
those who are international, who are listening to us, because we have a lot of international listeners, that Dubai has grown as a city very quickly. The whole UAE has. And so, you'll end up having communities being built that have next to no facilities in it and very little community. And then 10 years on, it's bustling, but it takes time.
Yeah. And at that point, there was lots of work going on, but that got put on hold. So therefore, the clinic wasn't thriving as was predicted. So that was a hard hit, but we soon opened Emirates Golf Club instead.
Okay.
And that went brilliant, so nearly straight ahead. We were getting filled schedules. And Emirates Golf Club being a very popular golf club, but also central to a lot
Yes.
of what would that be? People living in the area.
Yeah.
So easily accessible and easy access.
Yeah. Good parking. No, it's my local one. So whenever I would go to physio, I would always be like, can I go over there? It's 5 minutes from home.
It is. And it's lovely to come into a space that doesn't really feel like a clinic.
Yeah.
It is more gym based really, because it's mainly rehab that we have there.
Yeah.
So it's a nice feel. And then we've got DIFC that we opened afterwards, aiming to be more corporate.
Okay.
Treating the corporates with lots of necks, backs, the weekend warriors who don't have time to look after themselves in the week, and then they go out and do the sprint exercising over the weekend. And that's been picking up, but unfortunately we opened just before COVID hit.
Yes.
And
That
was
must
a
have been
challenge.
hard. And did you find when COVID hit, how was that as a clinic? Were you able to remain open? Because I guess some of the services that you were delivering was essential, or did you have to close down?
No, we were working very closely with the health authorities to make sure we were fully compliant all the way through. The DIFC branch we closed.
Okay.
Emirates Golf Club we also closed initially and then could slowly open. But we were providing certificates of authorization for the patients to come to the clinic, where we could justify the reason for them to come and see us and be treated. So you've got mums at home with kids with back pain or severe shoulder pains, and they're struggling. And to have kids at home because they're not going to school and trying to deal with that is stressful enough, let alone if you're then suffering from pain at the same time. So we were ticking along. I mean, we had the lowest was probably 8 patients in a day.
Wow.
So it was tough.
Oh, as a business owner, I can feel that. I mean, the pandemic was hard for all of us, but did you find in the pandemic that it maybe gave you lessons about running the business, that you've changed the way that you're running the business now?
100%. I actually think for us it was a blessing in disguise, a hard lesson, difficult challenges that we had. But through default, a lot of people chose to move on or move back home. A lot of management left, and then we took on a consultant company, and they have then been with us ever since and really helped us sort of streamline, grow, and make sure that the investments we make are properly sort of screened and sound.
That's interesting, actually, that you say that. You know, most entrepreneurs who kind of lived through the pandemic, and maybe even if they didn't thrive, if it was a little bit difficult, now say that having experienced that has really helped shape their business today, which has made their business more profitable, more streamlined.
Well, we also had to use the opportunity to negotiate the contracts for clinicians. I mean, having clinicians on high fixed salaries and no patients coming through is just non-feasible. So luckily, a lot of them understood. We managed to change the contracts. And that's also been an interesting observation, because before we had clinicians on fairly good fixed, but then they get commission over a certain level. Mm-hmm. We changed everybody to a very small basic, just to comply, and then more commission. And when you're now looking at how many patients they see, their mindset's changed and they're more driven by revenue, which has helped them and helped us. And they're earning far more than they did even before COVID on a fixed.
Right. And I find sometimes if you have your team understanding what it takes to run a business, that it becomes easier to run the business.
It does.
Because then they understand that, okay, the patient might be paying this amount of money, but actually, the clinic has to pay for rent, it has to pay for insurance, it has to pay for the staff that are working here, all of the other things that take to run a business that people don't automatically think about.
That's right. And they think, well, this percentage of the money is going to the business.
Yeah. Anna must be rolling in it.
They do. And there's my car getting simpler and simpler, and theirs getting sort of more posh as they go. But no, it's a really good journey from our perspective. As I said, lots of lessons learned. But I think the challenges for us wasn't under COVID, it was the year after.
Really? What was that challenge?
Well, as part of COVID, we also took on direct billing. And as direct billing, you've got delayed payments.
Okay.
And because of the summer of COVID, we were still struggling a little bit with making payments. So clinicians were being paid late. So even though we'd negotiated contracts, they were being paid late. So a lot of them
hard
thought,
as a business owner, isn't it?
Well, I don't feel this is right. So they chose to leave. As they leave, you then got to pay the gratuity that we didn't have in reserves. So it was challenging. And then come the year after, we were at the point where it was break point. It was very, very difficult, and we'd not paid the rent for a few months because we had the money in insurance, but they'd not paid it.
Do you know, this is so frustrating, isn't it? When you are a small business and you have bigger businesses that owe you money, that morally they should pay their bills and they should pay their bills on time. And for insurance, it must be so frustrating for you, because I can see from a patient perspective, it's easier to go to a clinic where it's direct billing.
Of course.
Because I always forget to submit my insurance claims. And I'm sure there's a lot of people like me as well. And it's just saving me on the convenience that it's so good. You turn up and you don't have to pay anything and your insurance settles it. And so I can see on one hand that must be great for you as a business, that probably more people are like, oh, Up and Running is doing direct billing. Great, I'm going to go there. But then for you, running a business, it's so hard. And I think they don't think about this, especially with the smaller clinics, which is why a lot of times the smaller businesses don't take direct billing, because you're not getting paid on time.
No. For one, they negotiate the rates.
Right.
In some cases down to a quarter. And then there's delay in payment. But to be fair, we've now fortunately managed to gradually work our way out of the cycle. And we're now at the stage where debt's paid.
Oh, good.
Caught up on paying all the staff. Everybody's been paid. Any backlog's been paid. And now we're paid off debt. Bank loans are paid off. So we now see a much brighter future, and we're all very excited for it.
Oh. That's congratulations.
Thank
That's, I mean, what a great accomplishment from an operations side to be able to do that with the business as well. So you've got the 3 clinics.
Yep.
Everything is looking good, financially
Yep.
strong. What I've noticed, so you're a pioneer. You're the first one that was in the country offering what it is you do. But now there's a lot of competition.
There is.
How is that? How do you find that? Is that a hard thing, dealing with all the competition, or do you find that because you were the first, because everybody knows up and running, that gives you the competitive edge?
Well, as a clinic, we've been recruiting sports medicine doctors, some family medicine doctors, lots of physiotherapists, osteopaths, chiropractors, sports massage therapists, and then we've got nurses and a performance team with nutrition, fitness testing, and orthotics.
Wow. So there's very few clinics that offer all of that. They might have a few physios.
Correct, yeah. So we still probably have the biggest variety from an outpatient's perspective when it's got to do with sports medicine. Now, if you look at the competition out there, most of the people that are trying to compete are ex-up and running staff. But I wouldn't say that that's an issue. I feel proud of that.
Yeah.
I feel proud that there's so many of our old staff out there, because we brought them across. They love the region. Some of them have been poached. Some of them have chosen to go a different way as part of their career path. And others have just sort of wanted to try something different.
Yeah.
You know, there's always going to be good leavers and bad leavers no matter where you are. But I'm actually proud of seeing the numbers out. There's probably about 40 clinicians out there at the moment that are up and running.
Wow.
Who are, they're great. They're all great.
That's good. I mean, look, we can't keep people forever, right? No. And a lot of times, because I've had people resign and they're like, I hope you're not angry with me. And I'm like, no, we all have to grow. You can't be somewhere forever. And if that means that you're taking on a different position or doing something, so long as they don't do anything that damages your business, but you hope that that relationship is positive, that won't happen. I'm really happy for people.
Absolutely. And that's how I always feel. If we can be part of their journey into the career path that they've chosen, then at least I've achieved something. And bringing them out here to see Dubai and be able to sort of look to see what opportunities they have here and meet new people, that's a success.
Amazing. And how have you found, because the clinic is yours, you're running the clinic, it must be quite hard sometimes being the top person within the business. Is it kind of lonely sometimes?
It does. It gets really lonely. I've obviously had lots of ups and downs through it, where you're like, you think you've got friends, but they're colleagues. They treat you differently. You think you trust them, but do you, don't you? Yeah. You hear things, but they don't tell you. And it does get difficult. And that's always going to be the case when you're sort of the boss. But what's been really helpful is having Pegasus, our consulting company, to take a lot of the stresses away from me, so I don't need to get involved. So it means I've been able to enjoy being a clinician again and do what I really enjoy doing, because trying to see patients and run a business just doesn't work. It's so disruptive, and I just feel I wasn't giving the quality that I wanted to my patients. So by having them take the pressure off and running the back end, and we still meet on a regular basis and go through strategies and plans and what we want to do. And, I sort of say, can we fix this? And they say, what about that? And so that's working.
Great. We've
got such a good balance now. So it means I can be the doctor. Now, even being the doctor, trying to be part of the team, it's still not. I'm never going to be the normal doctor with anyone else. I'm not going to be the proper part of the team. But I still feel a lot closer to them than I used to. And I'm on the floor rather than behind the scenes.
So I guess that gives you the opportunity to see what's working and what's not working as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And speak to the clinicians a lot more and refer them patients, bring the patients through, hand them over, get feedback. So it's creating a better rapport with them, which is good, which really helps.
Oh, that's so good. And you're also, so you're in Female Fusion. You're one of our newer members in Female Fusion. One of the things we've been doing in Female Fusion, I think joined us on our last one, is we're getting our bigger businesses together, 7-figure businesses. Have you found that's been useful just to talk to other women, like completely different industries, but just who are also going through the challenges of having a bigger business?
Absolutely. It was really interesting at the last meeting that we went to, and just to hear their stories. And although the angle of what they're doing, the direction they're taking is completely different, the number of staff they have may be different, the problems are all the same.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you're at. When you're an entrepreneur, the problems are all going to be the same. Not all, but obviously in general.
Yeah.
So you can therefore share stories, and to hear some of the recommendations and advice that people were given was great.
And I think it's nice sometimes as well to almost have a peer group and some friends that are going through the same thing, because it's hard to have those friendships in your business because you have to be the boss. And at the end of the day, as you said, you're always the boss. But to have somebody who's like on the end of the phone or on WhatsApp, if you're having a bad day, just going, oh my goodness, I don't know how to manage this. And somebody else has gone through the same thing, either just to listen or to say, hey, did you try this or did you try that? So nice as well.
Oh, it's so reassuring, and you really feel comfortable in that situation, and you just know that, yeah, they understand you. And I think that's also been the issue that I've had with making friends outside of work. My friends, they're entrepreneurial because they get it. And therefore, okay, you cancel last minute, or you're busy, or you're traveling, even if you're not seeing them for 3 months, 6 months, you know you're still there for each other, and you can just pick up the phone and talk, because they understand, we understand each other, and we can just pick up from where we were. But I think it's really important to have that circle of people around you. Yeah. And thanks to Female Fusion, I feel that group's now grown a lot bigger.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. That's so nice to hear. And what are your plans for up and running now that you're back and growing and direct billing?
Yeah.
So happy.
We have lots of exciting growth planned.
Excellent.
It's taken this long to stabilize. It's taken this long now to sort out all the little nitty-gritties that needed doing. And now we've got the stepping stones in place to grow. So we've got a couple of places we're looking at, and we're making plans at the moment. And then there's also talk of moving international, but we're not quite there yet.
Fantastic. Oh, I'm so happy for you, Anna. It is such a nice clinic, and the love and care that you have for your patients, for your staff, is really evident. I mean, I've seen that as a customer as well. And it's just even the clinic, the big main one that you have, doesn't even feel like a clinic or a doctor's office. It's really nice. You've put really nice love and care into all of that as well.
The aim's always been to have somewhere where people feel comfortable coming to, that they feel looked after, cared for, listened to. Because there's a lot of people where they go see doctors and it's just a quick knee pain, right, MRI, off you go.
Yeah.
But you want to listen to them. You want to understand why this has happened and how is it impacting on their life. And, okay, so they can't play sport. What does that mean? And they're struggling to take the kids to school. You know, it's got quite a lot of impact. So it's not just the injury, it's the impact it has, how you can fix that, how you can reassure them, what investigations you need to do at what point to not over-investigate, but actually follow a set protocol and make sure, right, conservative treatment, if that doesn't work, we can then look at being a little bit more interventional. And if that doesn't work and everything else fails, then we'll call our sort of preferred surgeons that we work with and get their opinion.
Yeah. And you do have good preferred surgeons, because I did have a hip operation through Up and Running. Very good. My hip now works. No problems.
Brilliant.
So my hip thanks you, Anna.
You're welcome. Hip.
So I'm so pleased to see your growth. I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen next, hopefully within the next year. And then we will have you on the podcast to talk about all of that amazing growth that you've experienced.
That'd be great. I look forward to it.
Great. Thanks so much for being on the podcast, Anna.
Thank you, Jen.
Thanks for listening to the Women on the Rise podcast and our 30 most inspiring female entrepreneurs. If you are inspired by today's episode, why not come and join us in Female Fusion? We would absolutely love to have you. This is where you will be able to connect with the most incredible female entrepreneurs who are all committed to building a most profitable business. All you need to do is head over to femalefusionnetwork.com/join. I look forward to seeing you on the inside.